If you are between 60 and 80, and you can still do these 5 things, you may be aging better than most people around you. Not because you are lucky, not because you have perfect genes, and not because nothing difficult has ever happened to your body, but because you are holding on to something that becomes more valuable with every passing year: independence. When most people think about aging, they think about wrinkles, grey hair, or a number on a birthday cake. But in medicine, that is not what matters most. What matters most is function. Can you move well? Can you recover from stress? Can your body still respond when life asks something difficult of it? Can you trust yourself to get through an ordinary day without needing constant help? I'm Dr. Marie Clark, and these are the questions I pay attention to most. Over the years, I have learned that 2 people can be exactly the same age on paper and still be aging in completely different ways. One person in their early 70s moves with confidence, catches themselves when they stumble, carries their own bags, gets up easily from a low chair, and keeps up with the pace of everyday life. Another person, only a year or 2 older, may already feel fragile, hesitant, or one minor illness away from losing momentum completely. That difference is not just about appearance, it is not cosmetic. It is the difference between managing your own life and gradually surrendering pieces of it. The ability to shop for yourself, to travel, to climb stairs without fear, to get off the floor if you need to walk through a crowded place without feeling unsteady, to recover after a cold, a procedure, or an injury instead of being flattened by it. The good news is that healthy aging leaves clues. There are certain physical abilities that tell us in a very practical way how well the body is holding up. These are not extreme athletic skills, they are not tests designed for professional runners or people who spend hours in the gym. They are everyday abilities that reflect something deeper going on underneath the surface. Today, I want to walk you through 5 of the clearest signs that your body is aging well between 60 and 80. Most of them can be observed right in your own home, and each one reveals something important about your strength, your reserve, your resilience, and your long-term independence. The first ability is walking at a steady, confident pace. This may sound almost too simple to matter, but walking speed is one of the most revealing measures we have in aging research. In fact, many clinicians consider it a kind of vital sign. The reason is straightforward. Walking is not just about your legs. To walk well, your brain has to plan movement, your eyes have to scan your environment, your balance system has to keep you upright, your joints have to move efficiently, your muscles have to generate force, and your heart and lungs have to supply enough oxygen to keep everything going. When one of those systems begins to struggle, walking often changes before anything else becomes obvious. A person may not complain of a major symptom yet, but they move a little slower, hesitate more often, or seem less fluid with every step. That is why walking pace tells us so much. It is one of the earliest windows into overall physical aging. People who continue to walk at a comfortable, brisk pace in their 60s and 70s tend to have better outcomes across the board. They are often stronger, more resilient after illness, and more likely to remain independent over time. They are also generally less likely to experience the spiral that begins with slowed movement, then reduced activity, then further weakness, then even less movement. And this matters because slowing down is not always harmless. Sometimes it is the body quietly conserving energy because it no longer has much reserve. Sometimes it is compensation for pain, poor balance, shortness of breath, or declining strength. Even when it seems subtle, it can be the first visible sign that the body is becoming less adaptable. But here is the encouraging part. Walking speed is trainable. You can improve it. Regular walking helps, but even more effective is walking with intention. Periods of slightly faster walking, gentle hill work, or simply practicing a stronger stride can improve both pace and confidence. The goal is not to rush, the goal is to preserve the ability to move through life without looking fragile. The second ability is getting up from a chair without using your hands. This is one of the clearest signs of lower body strength and functional independence. Think about how many times you sit down and stand up in a normal week, getting off the couch, rising from the toilet, standing up from the dinner table, getting out of a waiting room chair. These movements are so ordinary that people rarely think about them until they become difficult. When you can stand up from a chair smoothly, without pushing hard through your arms or rocking your body forward several times, it tells us a lot. It tells us your leg muscles are still producing enough force. It tells us your hips are contributing well. It tells us you likely still have reasonable coordination, trunk control, and confidence in your movement. When this becomes difficult, daily life starts to shrink. People linger longer in chairs. They avoid low seats. They become more cautious in unfamiliar places. They may begin choosing activities based on whether they are worried about getting back up afterward. That is how weakness quietly steals freedom, not all at once, but through hundreds of tiny negotiations across ordinary life. Difficulty rising from a chair is also associated with fall risk and future disability. It often reflects declining strength in the quadriceps, glutes, and core, all of which are essential for mobility, and lower body strength is one of the biggest protectors against frailty. The wonderful thing is that this ability responds very well to training. Repeated sit-to-stand practice, step-ups, squats modified to your level, and basic resistance work can make a meaningful difference. Even in later decades of life, muscles remain responsive. They may need more patience, more consistency, and better recovery than they did at 30, but they can absolutely still adapt. If you can still rise from a chair with control and without relying heavily on your hands, you are doing better than many people your age. And if it feels difficult, that does not mean the story is over. It means you have found an important place to start. The third ability is carrying weight while walking. This is one of the most overlooked markers of functional aging, yet it is deeply practical. Can you carry grocery bags from the car? Can you hold a basket while moving through a store? Can you bring laundry from one room to another? Can you manage everyday objects without feeling like your balance disappears the moment your hands are occupied? This ability combines grip strength, shoulder stability, trunk control, posture, walking efficiency, and confidence. It also reflects something called reserve capacity. In plain terms, how much your body can handle beyond the bare minimum. It is one thing to walk when nothing else is being asked of you. It is another thing to walk while carrying, turning, breathing steadily, and staying balanced. That is why this ability matters so much in real life. Independence does not happen in a laboratory. It happens when your hands are full, when the surface is uneven, when you are a little tired, when you are distracted, when the task is inconvenient. Functional health means the body can manage those combined demands. Grip strength deserves special attention here because it is such a powerful predictor of overall health. People often assume grip strength only matters for opening jars, but in medicine it tells us much more than that. It often mirrors total body strength and is strongly linked to resilience, recovery, and longevity. Weak grip can be a sign that the broader muscular system is losing capacity. If carrying moderate weight while walking still feels manageable for you, that is a very good sign. It suggests your body is still coordinating multiple systems at once. It suggests you have not lost the practical strength that daily life depends on. And again, this can be improved. Farmers carries with light dumbbells, carrying grocery bags safely, resistance band work, posture training, and strength exercises for the hands, shoulders, and core all help. The point is not to carry heavy loads for the sake of it. The point is to keep your body ready for real life. The fourth ability is balancing on one leg for a short period without panic or excessive wobbling. Balance is one of those capacities people tend to ignore until it starts to disappear. But when it begins to decline, it can change the psychology of aging almost overnight. A person who once moved casually through the world Start scanning for handrails, watching every curb, and thinking twice before stepping over something simple. That shift matters because fear of falling often leads to reduced activity, and reduced activity leads to faster physical decline. Good balance depends on several systems working together beautifully. Your inner ear tells your brain where your head is in space. Your vision helps orient you. The nerves in your feet and ankles send constant information upward. Your muscles make rapid micro-adjustments. And your brain integrates all of it in real time. That is an extraordinary process, and it becomes more vulnerable with age. The reason standing on one leg is such a useful sign is that it places these systems under demand quickly. It is simple but not easy. If you can still do it for a reasonable amount of time, especially on both sides, it suggests your neuromuscular system is still communicating well and your body still has good postural control. Balance is not just about elegance, it is protection. A serious fall can change the entire course of later life. Many people never fully recover the same confidence after one, and sometimes it is not even the fracture itself that causes the greatest damage. It is the inactivity that follows, the fear, the deconditioning, and the sudden dependence that can come afterward. That is why balance training is not optional fluff. It is one of the smartest investments you can make in longevity. Simple practice matters. Standing on one leg near a stable surface, heel-to-toe walking, tai chi, ankle strengthening, and lower body resistance work all help. Balance improves when the body is challenged consistently and safely. If you can still stand on one leg with control, even briefly, that is a meaningful sign that you are aging with better physical integrity than many of your peers. It means the systems that keep you upright are still doing their job. The fifth ability is getting down to the floor and back up again with control. This may be the most honest test of all. It asks for strength, mobility, coordination, balance, and confidence at the same time. And unlike some fitness tests, it is deeply relevant to everyday life. If you drop something, play with a grandchild, kneel in the garden, sit on the floor, or ever have a minor fall, can you recover? Can you get yourself back up? That question goes straight to the heart of independence, because one of the most frightening moments for many older adults is not pain. It is helplessness. It is the realization that if they ended up on the ground, they might not be able to get back up without assistance. That fear changes behavior. It makes people more cautious, more sedentary, and often less willing to engage fully with life. The ability to rise from the floor reflects something we cannot always see from the outside. It reflects whether the body still has enough integrated function to solve a real-world movement problem. Your legs have to work. Your hips have to move, your core has to stabilize, your balance has to hold. Your brain has to sequence the movement without panic. That combination is powerful. Research has repeatedly shown that floor rise ability correlates with future health outcomes. And while no single test defines your destiny, this one often captures overall physical aging in a surprisingly accurate way. If you can still get down and back up with little or no support, you are maintaining something precious. You are preserving not just mobility, but autonomy. And if you cannot do it right now, please do not hear that as a verdict. Hear it as information. It simply means there is room to rebuild. Practicing squats to a chair, lunging carefully, kneeling transitions, and supervised floor transfers can gradually restore the movement patterns required. So if you are between 60 and 80, and you still have these 5 abilities, what does it really mean? It means your body likely still has reserve. It means you are not just surviving day to day, you are retaining capacity, you are holding on to the strength, coordination, and resilience that make independent living possible. You may not feel extraordinary, you may not think of yourself as especially fit, but if you can walk with purpose, rise from a chair, carry weight while moving, balance on one leg, and get up from the floor, you are preserving some of the most important functions of healthy aging. And I want to emphasize something that often gets lost in conversations about age. These abilities are not just markers, they are also targets. In other words, they do not only tell you how you are doing, they tell you what to train. That is one of the most hopeful truths in medicine. The body changes with age, yes, but it also responds to effort. At 60, at 70, and often well beyond, the body can still become stronger, steadier, and more capable. You do not have to become an athlete. You do not need punishing workouts. You do not need perfect health to make progress. What you need is regular challenge, safe repetition, and the decision not to surrender function before you have to. A few walking intervals, a little strength work, balance practice near a counter, repeated sit-to-stands, carrying manageable loads, floor mobility done carefully and consistently. These simple actions add up. Because in the end, aging well is not mainly about looking young. It is about staying usable, staying capable, staying able to participate in your own life. The people who age best are often not the ones chasing extreme performance. They are the ones protecting function year after year in quiet, practical ways that keep paying them back. I'm Dr. Marie Clark, and if there is one thing I hope you take from this, it is this. Do not measure your future only by your age. Measure it by what your body can still do, what it can still relearn, and how much independence you are still willing to fight for. Because the real goal is not simply to live longer, it is to remain yourself while you do. If this message helped you think differently about aging, keep these 5 abilities in mind and be honest about which one needs your attention most. That awareness alone can be the beginning of a very different future. Stay strong, stay steady, stay independent, and I'll see you in the next one.